Dieses Teil hier nehmen? Können Sie es gerade? Ja, genau, perfekt.
Da war noch ein Auto. Stört sowas? Guck ich dich an? Genau. Ja. Einfach loslegen? Okay. Mein Name ist
I'm Franzi Kühner. I founded Torben, Lucy und die Gelbe Gefahr, and I'm on the boards of Freenet and Württembergische Versicherung.
I'm Dr. Stephanie Werner, and I'm Head of Financial Reporting at Daimler Mobility.
Ich bin Dr. Kathi.
I'm Dr. Kathi Ernst, and I'm co-founder and co-managing director of Uschi.
I'm CEO of the Vector Foundation.
I'm Managing Director of Tunch Group.
Head of marketing for a health insurance company.
I have over 150 employees and 2 wonderful children.
I'm 39 and have 3 children.
I have 2 children.
I have 5 children.
I have a daughter.
I have 2 children.
I have a daughter, and the next one's on the way.
I always knew I'd be a working mom.
When I told them I was pregnant, they said, "Are you trying to ruin us?"
How many more children do you want?
Of course, you'll have to be replaced.
I didn't take a single day of parental leave.
We threaten existing structures, disrupt them, and break the rules.
Quitting my job wasn't an option.
I was worried about being judged, that people would say I didn't put my child first. That took courage.
I get up very early, around 5 a.m., because I really need to exercise. And the only way for me to incorporate exercise into my schedule is to head out in the morning. Otherwise, something always ends up getting in the way. I go for a jog. That's how I get to work. That's usually a bit before 6. I usually run around 5 or 6 kilometers. Then I feel better, ready for whatever my workday will bring. I feel grounded. I've thought about what needs doing, set priorities, planned what my day will look like. I'm Mandy Mangler. I'm head of gynecology and obstetrics at the Augusta Victoria Hospital in Berlin, and I have 5 children. I start work very early and leave earlier in the afternoon than most normal department chairs. Otherwise, I wouldn't see my children at all.
Na? Wie geht's? Ja? Ah, sehr schön. Sehr gut.
When it comes to equality, we've made real strides. At 20 or 25, young women have a feeling of equality, and by and large, that's true, and that's good. Then it all changes. They have children, and suddenly find themselves thrown back to the kind of role they saw their mothers or grandmothers take on, which they never had imagined for themselves. I want to change the rules of the game, so it's easier for my daughters.
Das ist für Mama, das ist für Papa und das ist für Alia. Willst du es mit Banane haben? Ja. Sollen wir es mitnehmen in die Kita? Ja.
Hausfrau, 100%.
Being a full-time housewife, that's an idea I can't really identify with.
Glaube ich, schwer identifizieren kann. Ich
I love being at home with my daughter, but not 100%.
Nicht 100%.
Ein kleines Stück? Ja. Was ist das, eine Ananas?
I was 26 when I took my first management job. I was the youngest on the team. It was a relatively diverse team, but there were more men than women. I always knew I wanted children, but it was still a long way off at that point.
Damals noch in weiter Ferne.
I'm Sandra. I'm a manager for an energy business, which has a team of 46 people. My daughter is 2.5.
Jahre alt.
Nimm doch das Gerät mal. Und Mama setzt sie mal hier drauf. Und du kannst einen Kuchen backen, wenn wir Strümpfe anziehen, okay? Guck mal, das lassen wir in der Küche. Wollen wir runter zum Schuhe anziehen? Ja. Es geht ab in die Kita. Ab in die Kita. Du Frechdachs.
I never wanted to put the brakes on my career to have a family.
Für die Familienplanung. Das war klar.
I always knew I would do both at once and see how it goes.
Wie es danach weitergeht.
Danke.
Sehr geehrte Fluggäste, um die Ansteckung mit dem Coronavirus zu minimieren, hat der Flughafen...
Jetzt stehe ich.
I get up just before 6 and wake the children. We get the school bags ready the night before. My husband makes the sandwiches and I get the children out of bed.
macht die Brotzeit und ich gucke, dass die Kinder aus dem Bett kommen.
Ja, total. Das ist mir jetzt auch gerade aufgefallen, als ich hier stand. Ich bin Karin Gallas.
I'm Karin Gallas. I am Senior Vice President of HR at Deutsche Telekom and I have 4 children.
Hallo.
Hello. Lovely to hear your voice. I just wanted to check that everything worked out this
Eine
morning.
Bitte hätte ich schon mal. Kannst du schon mal gucken?
Just one thing. Can you take a look? The daycare rang and wants to set up a meeting about Kilian's start.
Eingewöhnung vom Kilian. Ah, okay. Also es ist immer so meine Routine in der Früh, wenn ich gelandet bin.
That's my routine. When I arrive, I call to make sure that everything went smoothly. My son has a math test today.
Auch Mathe schreibt.
He'll do great.
Das kann er. Also da muss ich
He's a
mir
little
was
math
machen.
whiz.
Das ist ein kleiner Mathe-Freak. Ja? Hallo. Ich bin montags, freitags.
I handle Mondays and Fridays. My husband does Wednesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays we have a sitter so that we can both work late.
Super. Guck mal, die Liebe, aber dann haben wir doch, glaube ich, zumindest mal bis Mittwoch das schon so weit durch. Das sieht doch schon mal gut aus.
I've been working here since 2004. I'm ambitious, I've got determination, but also skill.
Ich bringe dieses Willen, aber auch das Können mit. Ich weiß noch, dass
My early 30s were super stressful because I thought I had to do it all one step at a time. Then I realized, no, your childbearing years are too short for that. So you have to find a different way to combine things.
Es muss eine andere Form geben, das zu kombinieren. Und daher würde ich das gerne einfach, weißt du, Sie da als Sponsor auch gewinnen für das Thema.
Ich frage gleich nach, oder sag den Kollegen bei uns mit dem Rat zur Arbeit.
Dass Sie das schon mal, ja, und dass Sie das gleich mal schon mal mit aufnehmen, weißt du?
Genau, ich habe gestern schon gesagt, dass
ich will Kinder, aber ich will auch
I want children, I want a career, and I can make it work.
Für mich war immer
I always knew I'd be a working mom.
Working mom, also das Thema Kind.
A child and a career. I always knew I wanted both.
Angelegt in meiner Vorstellung. Eine Frau die 30, die
A woman of around 30 or so who's in the running for a leadership role always has that drawback, where the bosses think she might have kids and disappear.
I became a mother late, at almost 40. Before that, I did sometimes think, now's not a good time.
Jetzt passt es nicht.
When we decided to have a child, I was in middle management.
Bereits im mittleren Management. Aber dann sind wir relativ frei. Nichtsdestotrotz, das Thema digitale Fähigkeiten bleibt.
Genau, das war das, was ich über Digitalisierung hatte, Automatisierung, was man ja da auch sehen könnte, wäre das Thema Tests, also einmal
Als ich dann,
When I became pregnant, I first went to my boss, my direct supervisor, to talk about how we wanted to proceed.
Sprechen, wie wir denn eigentlich weitermachen wollen.
I hoped he'd be happy for me and that we'd be on the same page. That I'd come back afterwards and pick up where we left off. But instead, his reply was, well, of course she'll be replaced. When a woman has a baby, her priorities shift, and she might not want to continue in this role. I was pretty shocked.
Das hinterlässt einen erstmal schon schockiert.
I was surprised by how my co-founders responded to the news. I knew they wouldn't be thrilled.
Also ich wusste schon, dass sie nicht begeistert sein werden, aber
But when I told them I was pregnant, they said, "What, are you trying to ruin us?"
Krass, willst du uns ruinieren?
Das fand ich auch so das Komische, als ich
especially towards the end of my pregnancy, when I had that big belly. Sitting there in those management meetings with a lot of men, I was surprised to see how awkward some of the men were.
Man hat gedanklich dann auch gesagt,
it was like they thought, well, she'll go on leave and won't come back. I wasn't invited to meetings even when they had to do with my work.
Obwohl es mein Thema betroffen hat.
Also ich habe gar nicht akzeptiert, dass
From the start, I knew I wanted to stay in my job.
Ich werde diesen Job weiterhin tun. So, eine Stunde haben wir. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob uns das reicht, aber dann haben wir auf jeden Fall mal einen Anfang. Wie kriegen wir
The question was, how do we get from I'm gone to I'm coming back? In the end, I think everyone, from my CIO to the Director of Human Resources to the head of the Work Council, were all involved. My suggestion was to interview an external interim manager, which is what we did, and that's how we covered it.
Also ich guck mal, was am Budget da ist.
Okay, das machen sich aber mal schnell. Hätte ich sogar die Richtung. Ist auch, wenn man sich das Ganze dann auf der Ebene anschaut, also meine Ziele, also das thematische.
Also ich habe mit meinem Mann.
Of course, I also asked my husband, how do we want to handle it?
And
his question was, how do you want to handle it? He said it was up to me. He said, stay at home for as long as you feel you need to be there for our child. But I know you. Think it over carefully and decide. That's all he said.
I
was free to make my own decision with his full support. We never considered switching roles. That I'd go back to work right away and he stays at home.
Why not?
Because I didn't want that.
Lots of surveys ask men why they don't take parental leave or a longer leave. They say, I can't. There's no one to replace me. But somehow, that's never true for women.
My male colleagues would spend 2 months on parental leave, they'd come back, and a short time later they'd get a promotion. They never had to wonder, is it a good time or not?
When it comes to men's and women's careers, children are the dividing line. Women stay home for a while and men continue to work and then, of course, get ahead of women. Even if they're not more qualified, they have more experience because they don't lose time.
Ja,
wie geht's Ihnen?
Ja, sehr gut.
Haben Sie sich gut erholt?
Ja, wir haben uns beide gut erholt.
Wir haben versucht, Elternzeit
We always tried to share parental leave or have my husband take some leave. With my last baby, I was only out for 2 months. It was hard because I was already department head. I brought my baby to the hospital with me for quite a while.
Ja, erklärt.
Haben Sie eine Hebamme zu Hause?
Ja, habe ich schon.
Okay, perfekt. Ich habe eine Freundin gehabt, die schon
One of my friends was retired, and she came to the hospital to take care of the baby. I'd go to surgery, come back to nurse. But I've heard plenty of stories of people in medicine, especially men, who are discriminated against if they take leave, including clear threats of dismissal. When my partner told his boss about taking parental leave, they were outraged.
Why didn't I take parental leave? Good question. I thought I didn't need it. I wanted to keep working, as strange as that sounds.
I had my baby, and a week later I felt good. It was my first, which is a bit more difficult. But then I put her in her baby carrier and took her everywhere. To the accountant, the lawyer, the warehouse with the trucks.
Ist das dein Hund?
Ja, von meiner Freundin.
Hey! Meine Vorvorgesetzte.
My supervisor contacted me during leave and said, Karin, we're having a departmental meeting. Do you want to come? I said I'd love to, but I'd have to bring my son.
Mein Sohn, der damals 3 Monate alt war. Und sie meinte, kein Problem, bring ihn einfach mit.
She said, no problem. I thought that took courage 11 years ago. And that's how I found myself at work with a 3-month-old.
3 Monate alten Sohn durch die Lande gefahren bin. Hallo. Schön, dich zu sehen, lieber Arne. Tut mir leid, wir haben uns ein bisschen verspätet.
I still felt like I was being seen, heard. I had a say in things. That was inspiring and encouraging.
Wir sind reingeflogen und haben gesagt, wir wollen alle 4 Themen nutzen, um zu steuern.
Toward the end of my pregnancy, I shadowed for a week and then took the results to the board, how we work, why we work, just to show here's someone who loves her children, but also loves to work and make a difference.
Ich wollte mich bei Ihnen melden, und zwar habe ich für morgen 11 Uhr einen Termin bezüglich meiner Tochter. Das müssen wir leider nochmal verschieben, mir kam ein beruflicher Termin dazwischen. Ja, super. Dann würde meine Sekretärin den Termin nochmal dem Herrn Kinski schicken. Ja? Wir hatten ja für morgen schon was eingestellt. Und dann würden wir da eine Aktualisierung rausschicken. Dankeschön. Bis dahin, tschüss.
I do need a bit of flexibility because my schedule isn't entirely under my control. There's other players to consider, of course.
Da kommen natürlich unterschiedliche Player mit dazu.
We have a family calendar with all of our appointments, personal and professional. So my husband can immediately see, Karin is on a business trip. She has an appointment. She's working late. And he does the same. I try to be as organized as possible to make it easier to deal with the unexpected. Daycare is closed. A child gets sick. You can't plan for everything. That's life. But this gives me time to respond well.
So, und jetzt würde ich noch ganz kurz bei der Krippe anrufen. Hallo, Amelie, grüß Sie, Karin Gallas. Ich wollte mich melden, Sie waren so nett, mir gestern aufs Band zu sprechen für die Krippeneingewöhnung von Kilian, das Abschlussgespräch. Ja. Ich gucke noch mal bei mir im Terminkalender, wie viel Zeit würden Sie denn sagen, brauchen wir in etwa? Okay, dann machen wir es so, Amelie, wenn das für Sie okay ist, dann melde ich mich noch mal morgen im Laufe des Vormittags und mache Ihnen einfach 2, 3 Terminvorschläge und dann können Sie ja gucken, ob das passt.
Balancing a career and family doesn't mean you neglect one of them. Quite the opposite. You spend a lot of time and energy orchestrating the perfect setup.
Sometimes you want or need to spend more time with your child, and something explodes at work that I have to deal with. That's when I often reach my limit.
When both parents work full-time and you have 2 children and one child gets sick, who goes? And when both you and your husband say you can't leave, I don't want to say there'd be a big argument, but it's about staking out your role, and of course, I had to fight for space for what I do.
Man befindet sich mitten in der Sitzung und dann
Say you're in the middle of a meeting and you see a call coming in from daycare or school. You step out and you're told your son had a fall on the playground. That's the moment when you're responsible for 20 or 30 co-workers at the meeting and also for your son.
Für die ich die Verantwortung habe, wie für meinen Sohn.
It's hard to have to say, I can't pick up my child, I'm in a meeting. I don't know, 50 kilometers away. I'm not just 5 minutes away.
Eine Herausforderung ist, seinen Arbeitsalltag zu organisieren.
One challenge is organising your workday so that you have time to take care of your children. But when? You're at work all day and in medicine. A lot of meetings take place in the afternoon. The department head meetings were between 5 and 7 p.m. when I first took my post here. I used to sit there and think, I have to go home. I don't have time for casual chit-chat. As much as I'd love to, I can't.
The
rules of the game are made by and for men. By men who are older, who either don't have children or have children someone else takes care of, usually the wife. They don't have to worry about getting dinner on the table or filling the fridge. It's 20 to 3. I've done most of my work, so I'll go home at 3 or 4, depending, to take care of my children.
The question was there an alternative to returning to work full-time, which for me was out of the question.
Für Sandra war klar, dass sie, sage ich mal, am Anfang Teilzeit zu Hause bleiben möchte.
Sandra knew she wanted to be at home part-time in the beginning, to care for Alea. And to be honest, I didn't ask myself that same question. But I think it would have been really difficult in my position. We're not quite that progressive, because while we're talking about combining work and family for women, the conversation isn't quite as far along when it comes to men.
Mit Familie für Frauen, aber für Männer ist die Diskussion noch nicht so weit.
Why not?
I don't know.
Ich würde mal sagen,
I'd say because of history, traditional roles.
Bild, aber ich glaube, es gibt
My company doesn't have a single top manager who works part-time.
Keinen oberen Manager, der Teilzeit sozusagen.
Maybe they don't think they can make it work.
Vielleicht nicht das Zutrauen hat, dass er in der verbleibenden Zeit seinen Job machen kann.
When a woman has a baby, regardless of whether she's a manager, the company usually asks her, how do you want to handle things when you come back? Part-time? How much time? Nobody does that with men.
Ich find's gut, wenn wir It would be good if we all dared to think about what we really want. That requires a change in thinking across the board. Women and families would have to think about what their ideal scenario would be, and employers would have to have the courage to try something new.
Meine Abteilungsleitungsposition teile ich mir mit einer Tandempartnerin.
I share my department management position with a tandem partner. Our basic model is that we each work 30 hours a week, so 75% of a regular full-time job. This job-sharing solution was the best career decision I ever made, because it's what's made it possible to combine work and family.
Beides miteinander zu verbinden.
Und dann dann war noch das mit der Betreuung.
We still had to figure out our childcare, and that wasn't so easy. That was one of the hurdles at the beginning.
Ein bisschen Steine in den Weg gelegt.
We applied to 18 different daycares, I think. It's really nuts. We had to go to interviews.
Vorstellungsgespräche.
We registered on various portals, and it felt like we had to turn our lives inside out. That did put a damper on things. We still didn't have a spot when the baby arrived.
Weil wir hatten bis zur Geburt noch keinen Platz.
Hallo?
Hallo, hier ist die Sandra Lange, die Mama von der Alea. Ich bin auf dem Weg. Es könnte sein, dass wir 1-2 Minuten nach halb da sind. Ich wollte nur Bescheid geben.
Alles klar, danke schön.
Bis gleich.
Bis gleich.
Ciao. So, Mausi. So, wo ist denn unser Auto?
Das hier.
Ja? Den ersten Betreuungsplatz, den wir tatsächlich für
The first daycare spot we had for Alia was mornings only, though they said that could change.
Aussicht auf wird aufgestockt.
Da finde ich, ist es tatsächlich so.
In Germany right now, you're lucky to get any spot at all. You can't even really ask yourself, what is the place like? Is it right for me and my child?
Passt dieses Konzept zu mir und zu meinem Kind? Für unter 3-Jährige.
Back then, there were no daycare spots at all in Ostfildern or in Stuttgart for children under 3.
Ja, und dann stand ich da und hatte 30
I'd agreed to work 30 hours a week and had no daycare.
Ich mich nach Tagesmüttern umgeschaut.
So I looked around for childcare, and then I met 2 other women in the new subdivision where we lived in the same situation.
Ja, die gleiche Situation hatten und mit denen gemeinsam.
We teamed up and set up a private corporation and hired a childcare worker.
Bürgerlichen Rechts gegründet, eine GbR, und haben gemeinsam.
In the end, we were 14 women in all.
Und am Ende waren wir 14
That was the first childcare for under 3-year-olds in Ostfildern.
Unter 3-Jährige in Ostfildern.
Wir haben uns damit beschäftigt.
We tried to establish a daycare in our community where there were a bunch of different startups.
Unternehmen angesiedelt sind.
But we kept hitting roadblocks.
Also, das ist,
you can't even find a property where you can set up a daycare.
Eine Kita gründen zu können.
Ich merke, wie entscheidend
I've seen how important it is to have reliable childcare. That's truly key.
Dann haben wir beispielsweise auch unseren Wohnort ausgewählt.
We even decided where to live based on that.
Zuerst die Kinderbetreuung.
We first looked for a daycare and then looked for a house. I knew we needed to optimize the commute.
Dann würde ich mal einzählen. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Darf ich da aufsetzen? Nein.
Fahren wir los? Ja. Wie war es denn heute in der Kita? Was habt ihr denn gemacht? Am Anfang habe ich schon
At first, I did wonder if I was asking too much of her. She was very little when she started daycare.
Kita gegangen ist, hat dort geschlafen.
She napped there, ate meals there. That's a lot of time away from home for someone who's not even a year old.
Schon viel weg von zu Hause.
Also ich hatte in den Momenten ein
Sometimes I did feel guilty.
Wenn ich geglaubt
When I felt like I'd missed something important. For example, when he learned how to ride his balance bike, and he was pretty good. And I wasn't there.
Und in dem Moment, da war ich nicht dabei.
These are the moments when you realize there are limits to the compatibility of career and family. In those moments, I'm sad or angry.
Erlebt habe oder war vielleicht wütend. Es gibt immer Phasen.
There were times when I wondered whether I was doing the right thing.
Richtige Weg und
times when I felt torn, that I couldn't concentrate on one thing.
So richtig sich auf eins konzentrieren. Das schlechte Gewissen.
Feeling guilty is just part of it from day one.
An mit.
When my daughter was a teenager, she said to me, "You're never here anyways." It's moments like that that make you think.
I think that when you notice it's working and going well, and it's also good for me, I think she senses that and it works out.
Jetzt könnte man reinsitzen.
Hatten wir nicht auch mal eine Frau? Ist die Frau weg? Ist nur noch Männer? Also nach morgens.
When I pick her up after daycare, I spend about 4 hours with her. Sometimes maybe half an hour less, but round about 4 hours.
Also round about 4 Stunden.
We spend the rest of the day together doing something fun, whatever we're up for.
Ich bin jetzt gleich so Oma und Opa.
Okay, aber die sind jetzt gar nicht da.
If there's a problem, the children come first. That's very important. As long as they know that, they're fine. Then you can say, "No, sorry, right now I have to work. But if you really need something, I'm here for you."
My daughter handles it pretty well. Of course, there are times when she needs me more and demands more. But basically, it's completely normal for Mama to go to work.
He knows I'm there for him. It's sweet. In the evening, he comes and says, "Mama, I know you're always there for me." And I say, "You can come to me with anything." Of course, not always or any time, but we do say with anything.
In my private life, I did sometimes get the sense people thought, "What's going on here? Don't you love your child?" Things like that.
When we were trying to set up a daycare, we also went to the local council. It became a real political issue. Some older men on the council said to us, "If you're going to have children, stay home and take care of them." And my reply was, "Well, I didn't have these children all by myself."
Later, in the new daycare, they said, "How can you raise a child if you can't even be flexible about appointments?" It was a bit strange to hear. Even with a job like this, I wasn't considered capable of raising a child. In my new role, I'll also be on the supervisory board. That will be new for me. Every new job is its own journey. You never really know what it will entail, and every move upward like that also challenges you.
Fördert, aber auch fordert.
Sie hatte eine mehrmonatige Elternzeit, kommt zurück ins
She was on
Unternehmen.
parental leave for a number of months and then came back to the company in a higher position with very different duties. A lot more responsibility for staffing, a lot more international responsibility.
Was ich mit ihr teilen kann.
What I can do is provide insight into the work at the top level from a variety of different perspectives. In her new role on the supervisory board, I can answer questions and get her on her way.
Sicher das eine oder andere auf den Weg geben. Es gibt in jeder Aufsichtsratssitzung ein klassisches Reporting-Teil. Dann gibt es im Reporting den Abweichungsteil, also was ist On-Strategy, was passiert innerhalb der Strategie, was ist Off-Strategy.
Es ist eine totale Chance und gleichzeitig ist es natürlich
It's a real opportunity, but you have to approach it with respect, even a bit of humility. As part of top management, you're in a position of influence.
So does that mean less time for your family?
Ein Stück weit sicherlich.
To an extent, sure. But at the end of the day, I have to make sure it all gets done.
As a mother, you're often asked, how do you manage it all with the children? Fathers are never asked that.
Sometimes I say, what about my husband? He was also constantly on the road, but no one ever called him and asked, what about your children?
Even today, when I say I'm traveling for work or working on an exciting project, people often ask me, what about your child? And then I say, I usually just lock her in the basement with some food.
As parents, we're a team. My husband often hears things like, well, with that woman on your side, with her ambitions, you're going to have to take a back seat. Those kinds of comments devalue men too. And on the other side, I also get comments like, Karin, what if your child's crying and you're not there? My child has a father too. The comments aren't just directed at me, but also at my husband and how we organize our family. There's always judgment. What makes a good mother, a good father, good parents? And as a mother, you do feel guilty, especially at first. Once my daughter said, Mama, why am I always the last one to get picked up from daycare? I had to explain, your parents both enjoy working, and it gives us the life we have. I did worry that people would judge me and say that I didn't put my children first, that I put my own needs on the same level as theirs. That took courage.
It helps to have women friends and working mothers to talk to. And when you hear that women who work less and spend more time at home have their own problems, you realize you just have to do what's right for you.
Women always try to find that happy medium between family and work. And that's success when we manage to bring the two sides into harmony. Then we can sleep well at night.
Da sehe ich einen Elefant.
Nein, der da.
Der da. Okay.
Wo?
Da.
Jetzt ist Schlafen.
Jetzt ist Schlafenszeit, Mäuschen. Ist schon spät.
Warte, Mama. Gute Nacht.
Gibst du Mama noch einen Kuss?
Gute Nacht, Mäuschen.
This is just the final check, looking through emails, the agenda for tomorrow. Did I miss anything? But it looks good.
Sieht alles ganz gut aus.
Du musst aber so lange im OP stehen, das ist halt immer...
Das Dilemma ist ja häufig, dass man einfach als berufstätige Mutter...
Working mothers are always short on time. They deal with the urgent matters rather than the important ones. Having a network is essential for your career. It gives you support and encouragement, inspiration, and ideas for problem solving. You don't have to do it all on your own.
Nicht alles alleine lösen.
My flight was booked for 7:30 tomorrow morning, but my husband has to be at the office at 8 tomorrow morning. So I'm flying home tonight.
Mich gibt's nur mit Kindern. Ich bin durch die Kinder so gewachsen.
My children are part of the package. I've grown and matured so much because of them. They've made me who I am. My children aren't an obstacle to my career. I've grown along with my children and also with my career.
Ich bin mit den Kindern, aber auch mit den beruflichen Schritten gewachsen.
Unser Paper wurde angenommen, ich schicke dir das Gutachten. Punkt. Ich freue mich sehr. Ausrufezeichen. Liebe Grüße. Einiges müssen wir allerdings noch ändern. Punkt.
Also meine Mission ist auf jeden Fall, dass immer, wo ich Entscheidungen
My goal is to make decisions deliberately. For example, I like to hire mothers because I know that they face the same challenges that I do. They're very busy, and they have to get their work done by the end of the day. So often, they're more efficient.
Dann können wir morgen noch mal quatschen. Morgen hoffe ich hoffentlich einen Überblick über nächste Woche und dann können wir noch mal gucken. Ja? Danke dir. Bis dann. Ciao. So, das war die leitende Oberärztin. Ich gucke jetzt noch mal in die E-Mails und
I'll take another look at my emails, and if everything's under control, I'll go home. I'm planning to bake something with the children this evening.
Mit den Kindern was zu backen. Also ich würde auch,
if it came down to it, I'd rather hire a woman, even if she's slightly less qualified on paper. People grow with their responsibilities. And my choice would be to support someone who really needs that support in our society. Our society needs people who support women, who support mothers, until we reach equality. And we're a long way from that, unfortunately.
Extrem weit entfernt, leider.
Education starts with role models. If we don't serve as role models, how will our daughters know what's possible?
My greatest hope is that one day we'll have mothers in the workforce, and it will be totally normalized for them to say from time to time, sorry, I have to leave this meeting because I have to go pick up my daughter or my son. But even more than that, I'd like to hear men say that too.
I've always said I'm not joining a supervisory board just for status, to be the token woman for the public, just for fun. I'm doing this for my daughter, so that it will be different for her.
My life is richer for it. I can't imagine my life without my children or my job.
It makes my life more complete having both. Solely caring for the children wouldn't work for me. I need the challenge.
My life is definitely enriched, and it makes me happy.
Glücklich.
What more is there?
That's how it should be.
Yes, that's true.